Today we are doing the lower control arms and the ball joints, the lower ball joints on the 2007 Toyota Solara. This is the same procedure you will find on Camrys from 2002 to 2006 and Solara 2002 to 2008, and also on Avalons and Lexus ES300, 330 from 2002 to 2006. So we're going to cover the prices, where to get these parts, to 2025 prices obviously, tooling, procedure, torque specs, everything. We're going to do the job done right according to procedures. So let's dive right in. I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, the reason why these lower controller arms and while I'm at it, the lower ball joints are getting replaced is because it says here under the inspection part of the maintenance manual, which is this one right here for this type of car. It says here, inspect the bushing. If they're cracked, torn, or worn out, replace the control arm. Well, guess what, folks? Let me show you. If you look at the lower control arm, which is this component right here, let me show you. This part right here, you'll see that the rear bushing is cracked and torn, so this is why we are replacing the lower control arms. And while I'm at it, I am replacing, let me see if I can show you, I am replacing this lower ball joint as well right here. So we're going to go through every step of the way. This is a rather complicated job, but nothing you cannot do it. Since I did it already, and I'm going to show you on the left side, I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks and everything that it takes to get the job done. You see it? I already did it on the left side here, and I got to tell you guys, it looks beautiful. It is a little bit of a labor. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's quite a job, but like I said, we're gonna do everything it takes to do it right. These are the parts. This is what the parts looks like. I did go with Detroit parts. I think that's called. What are they called? Detroit Axle. That's who I got the parts from, and you could get the parts from partsgeek.com, which is where I got them. This is Detroit Axle components. The lower control arm, this is what it looks like, and this is what the lower ball joint looks like, and it comes with the castellated nuts. It comes with all the hardware and cotter pins and whatnot. Prices, 2025 prices. If you're getting the lower control arms and the ball joints, which is what they look like right here, prices for them is $107.95, not including taxes, free shipping. You're looking at about maybe 120 bucks, something like that. Now that we covered what the job entails and what the parts are and procedures for them, like I said, we're going to go over all the torque specs as well. This is the tooling you're going to need to get the job done. Feel free to pause this video so that you have an idea. There's going to be torque wrenches, 17, 19, 22 millimeter wrenches, sockets, torque wrenches, hammers. I mean, you name it. Punches. You're going to need punches for this. You're going to need picks. Like I said, it's not an easy job, but if you're watching this video, chances are you're attempting or want to do this on your own, because let's face it, spending $150 an hour to a mechanic, unless you're making at least $150 or more an hour, you're better off doing a job yourself. This is why I'm doing it. So anyway, that being said, let's dive right in. What we're going to do is create a ton of axes. We're going to remove a lot of stuff. I'm going to show you. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to disconnect this harness off of the strut. Going to put this aside, and it's this 12 millimeter nut bolt right here, and that holds the hydraulic line against the strut, and the harness for the wheel speed sensor. Like I said, we're going to disconnect the 10 millimeter bolt up here. And the wheel speed sensor on the actual knuckle. There's this little clip right here. Okay, we get this harness out of the way. We're just going to hook it up on top of the spring of the strut. Next, we're going to disconnect the torque plate of the caliper and set the caliper aside. The torque plate, the bolts for the torque plate are these ones here. We're going to move everything out of the way, and I believe they're 17 millimeters. Yep, and I'm going to use an impact for that. As always, guys, get yourself an impact. Best money ever spent. Saves a lot of time. This is going to fall on you, so have something ready. I'm just going to lay it on top of this right here. It's a 6-pack of, and voila, I'm just going to put it right there. I'm going to put the hardware with it so that we don't lose it. Okay, so that's done. We could take the rotor off. This should pop right out. Well, it should. The other side came right off. There it is. All right. Next, we're going to disconnect the control rod, the control arm for the steering. This one right here. There's going to be a cotter pin in it. And it's also a 17 millimeter. All right. We're going to use this tool right here to separate the I believe that's a 24 millimeter. Again, use the impact. There it is. Control rod. If steering is disconnected, use this tool right here. You'll see it in the beginning of the video. We're going to undo the lower ball joints with these 3 nuts right here, and I believe they're also 17 millimeter. And bolt. Okay, before we separate the ball joint from the lower control arm, this is what we're going to do next. Let me show you. Next, we're going to bend up this tab, which is a locking feature of this 30 millimeter 12-point nut. So this way we can free the dry shaft. So let's do that. One way you could do that is by putting a wrench in here and use it as a lever. And that'll move. Or you could use a punch. The one that I use is a conical one that looks like this. So I just hit it in here, and that'll lift it up enough so so that when we put the 30mm socket on it, it's a 12-point 30mm. Here it is. It looks like this. See it? We shouldn't have any problems taking the axle off. That's nice and warm. Ooh, that's too bad now, isn't it? We stripped the damn axle and the nut. Damn, that's not good. Well, guys, that's not good. The outer part of the threads are stripped, and look at this nut. This thing is shot. It's no longer good. I just called the auto parts store. Hopefully they have one in stock. Otherwise, that's a problem. As far as the axle goes, the inner threads are still good. We will continue the quest, though, to make this happen. So we're going to continue the job here. Now we take this 22mm nuts off of that connects the strut to the knuckle. So this should be ready to come off now. First thing we'll do, we'll pry the. Okay, this is free. Okay, this is off and out of the way. We could take care of the bolt joints afterwards. Next, we can undo this this component here. Should be a 19. There we go. And to do the ones in the front here, this is where we have to loosen up the engine mount. Before we continue on top, let's go ahead and undo these nuts underneath right here. We'll remove these plugs like so. One. Two, and we're going to loosen up these three nuts in here, and I believe it's a 17mm. All right, we're going to remove this 19mm nut on top, and then I'm going to show you what else we need to disconnect to lift the engine to remove the forward two bolts for the control arm. All right, guys, we're almost there. The 19mm nut over here is disconnected. The last thing we have left to do over here is, you see this line right here? This hydraulic line is the power steering line, and there is a 10 or a 12mm bolt right there. It looks like a 10mm bolt right here. You see it? I have to disconnect that in order to move this line out of the way, because this engine mount, the arm of the engine mount, you see it? It's literally under the line. Once we start lifting up the engine, this will be in the way. That's the reason why we need to disconnect that hydraulic line. We already disconnected the middle engine mount, only on the bottom though. Sorry, hand got in the way. These are the 14mm nuts right here, and this is your middle engine mount right here. There's 1, and 2, and the 3. The third one is in here. Then what we do, we're going to lift up the engine from, probably want to do it right here. For the left side, I lifted it up right here. But for the right side, I'm going to lift it up right here. Don't put it under an oil pan, guys. Don't do that. You risk damaging something. So, okay, let's go ahead and put a jack under here. And we're going to try to lift it up. And first, obviously, we got to remove that 10mm nut for this oil line right here for the power steering. So you see, this is what I was talking about. The bracket is literally under the line right here. So let's do that, and then we'll put a jack under it. All right, guys, here we go. This is how we did it. I removed this panel here too. It's just a couple of 10mm bolts so that we have a better access. You can better see what's going on. The engine mount is finally free. I just need to lift it up a little bit more. As you can see, I put it's like a 4x4. It's actually a piece of round wood right under the drive shaft support right there. But so that I could go up enough, I had to remove actually this piece of the engine mount because it was interfering and it wasn't allowing further vertical clearance to go up. It's 2 14mm bolts, one right here, and here's the other one right here. So this will have to go back, and I'll give you the torque for all that as well. We have to go up just a hair more so that we could take this engine mount out, so we could finally get to that bolt, that 22mm bolt. So here it is. Let's do it. See it? That's how it looks like, guys. Just a little bit more. That should be enough. Now let's see if this engine mount comes out, which, by the way, was rusty. This sucker, look at it. Hallelujah, finally. All right, guys, we finally have access to the 2 bolts right here. We'll put a 22mm socket on it and take it off. One is out. There's one bolt out. All right, the other one is out, and this baby should be coming out. This is what I mean, guys. This is not an easy job. It takes some a little. Honestly, the most important thing. Don't forget this one here, guys. Don't forget that you're gonna need this again. The most important thing you need for this job, honestly, guys, it's patience. Patience, and don't give up. There it is. Hallelujah. It's finally out. Woo! All right, guys, we can now move on to the lower ball joint. Here it is right here. I was already actually able to take the cotter pin out. This one was an easy one. The one on the left side was, I had to cut the cotter pin. I had to punch it with a punch. It would not come out. It was seized in there. 19mm nut. We'll take this off. I did not get to the ball joint, but I do want to put this control arm back in because this day is coming to an end. The wife has arrived home, and we'll continue in the morning, obviously, but I need to jack down this car because I definitely don't want to leave the weight on the jack. So what we'll do is we'll put this in. What we can do, hammer it so that it'll take the control arm, maybe a little bit more. Okay, we can now put the put the bolt in. All right, put the nut on it. We can torque this afterwards, but we do need to do though is put this in. Again, guys, don't forget this piece right here. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. Now, these points do swivel somewhat, so you can put the bolt in. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, maybe I'll show you on this side. Here, right here, and you could kind of, there we go, turn it by hand, so that. Maybe a little bit more, so that you can insert the bolt by hand. You got to be able to get the thread started by hand, guys. You got to be able to get it started by hand. Otherwise, you might end up stripping that, and that's another problem we do not want to get into right now. Okay, let's see if okay, it's in. There you go. See, once we put these two bolts in and we torque them, then we can put the engine mount in and we can let it rest off the jack. You definitely don't want to have an engine resting on a jack for too long. Okay, 148 foot-pounds for the front. There we go. Now we could put the engine mount back, and we can lower the engine and let it rest on its engine mount. So once you put the engine mount back on, put the nut on top. So this way, you know that the nut is at least. Might be difficult otherwise to get this thing to come down right in the holes. So we can now lower this engine slowly. Let's make sure that the holes are aligning. I believe they are. Guys, we're looking good. We're looking good. All right. All right, guys. The forward end is done. We're going to call it a day for now because the evening has come and the wife is here. She's going to make dinner, and we'll continue first thing tomorrow morning. We'll put this back together. Also purchased a new axle nut, and I'll show you guys all about it. All right, see you tomorrow. Good morning, rise and shine, and let's finish this job. It's a beautiful day out. Happy Father's Day if you're a father, by the way. Next thing we're going to handle is the knuckle. The knuckle, we're going to remove the ball joint, and we're going to install the new one. Let's do it. This is going to be a 19mm wrench, 19mm socket. I did buy a swivel, because yesterday I had a hard time with the wrench. Something about an impact to make things a lot faster. Like I said, the cotter pin came out easy, so we can now tap this with a hammer, and it should come right out. The old hammer trick. There it is. It's loose. We're going to bend the shield a little bit. Should be. Alright, be able to pull this out. There it is. We can now put the new one in. Now, when you put this in, you're going to torque it to spec. If the cancellation holes do not align with the cancellation, what you're going to do is you're going to torque it further to the next available cancellation. That's how it works. I believe the torque on this is 91 foot-pounds. Let's verify that. We could remove these nuts right here, not necessary. And this bolt as well, because we're gonna have to put this in soon. However, we're gonna have to work on those threads of the axle, and I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna do that, because a tap and die set the size of that shank is not available today, nor any of my friends have it on Father's Day. So we're gonna have to use a thread file, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, let's torque this down, and then we'll take it from there. Torque on this ball joint nut is 91 foot-pounds. Let's do it. See if I can do it. There it is. And the holes are aligning. We got lucky this time. That was nice. Put the cotter pin in. Here it is. However, when you do bend it, guys, be courteous and be mindful of the next guy that might be doing his job. Don't bend the cotter pins like you're a butcher, but rather make it nice, you know. And at the end of the day, this is your car, you know, and do a beautiful work, because we do beautiful work, right? Here, I'm going to show you what I mean by bending a cotter pin nice. There it is. Tap it so that it doesn't hurt anybody. Here, let me show you. And here it is. You see it? You have one tab bent this way and the other tab bent that way. And we are ready to put this baby in. But like I said, before we put this baby in, we got to handle this, guys, because this does not look pretty at all. Look at this. I'm going to have to pass a thread files. I don't know if you guys are familiar with thread files. Let me show them to you. I love this tool. I think I got them on Amazon. And you could buy a set in standard and metric. Obviously, today we're going to use the metric one. We're going to use this one here. And the nice thing about it, each end has 4 different thread count size, and so does the other side. So this file right here has 8 thread file size, and I believe the one we'll be using is a 1.5 thread. That's the pitch of the axle nut. We also got a new axle nut yesterday from O'Reilly's, and they go for about 20-25 prices if you want a new nut. They're about almost $10. All right, guys. Next, what we'll do, and I'll set you up with the stand so you can watch the whole thing. We're going to torque this nut here, and I'll give you the torque specs. And we're going to torque the 3 on the bottom as well. We're going to put the bolt back for the hydraulic line of the power steering line, and we'll torque this nut and bolt assembly here as well. So let's make that happen. Next, I'm going to torque this 19mm nut bolt assembly to 152 foot-pounds. This is for the control arm, the aft bolt to the control arm. Come on. There we go. Okay, we are torqued. We can now torque down the engine side mount. We're going to torque down this baby right here. The other one on the other side, it looks like this. They call it the transmission mount. Now the top bolt here, the torque for that is 64 foot-pounds. It's a 19mm, whereas the 17mm on the bottom here, torque for that is 38 foot-pounds. All right, so here we go. All right, and 38 foot-pounds for the bottom. Let's adjust the torque wrench. This is a, speaking of torque wrenches, this right here is a, see, it has an adjustable click type. That's why I like these torque wrenches, because once you set it, and it locks in place, see it? Once it locks in place, this thing does not move, unlike this one right here. It has this locking knob, but these, as you can tell, tend to move, you see it? So it can make a difference. Anyway, 38 foot-pounds is the bottom nuts. Let's put you in position. Snug these up first. Now we can torque these again. 38 foot-pounds. There's 1, 2, and 3. All right, now we can put the engine cover that belongs here back. Now this one here is supposed to have 3 fasteners, but this one is a plastic clip that's no longer. So I'm just going to do these 2 10mm bolts, and it just goes right here. There's 1 and 2 right here. Nothing crazy. They just get tightened with the, and it's just a dust shield, really, a cover for when it rains or mud or dirt. Okay, after this, what we can do is put the 10mm bolt back on the bracket that holds the hydraulic line or the power steering line that sits right on top of the engine mounts. Okay, this is tight. Next we'll put the 10mm bolt back on the bracket that holds, again, the power steering line. Here it is. Nothing crazy, just snug it down with a ratchet. Or then after this, what we can do is, well, the engine mount is torqued down, the control arm is torqued down. Okay, this bracket is done. Next, guys, what we'll have to do is we're gonna start working on this knuckle, and we're gonna have to file these threads with a thread file, and I'll show you how that's gonna go down. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this thread file, and the way this works is you figure out what the thread count is. In this case, it's a 1.5. See this one right here. I'm gonna use this right across the threads, and in this fashion, I'm gonna have to recreate threads, if you will, all the way around, so that I can put this knot back on. This is the new one that I purchased yesterday, because right now, as you can see, it's not catching, and I don't want to risk ruining this nut too, because I have enough threads for this torque to bite all the way, but then at some point I'm gonna have to replace this axle. This is gonna take some time, so I'm gonna cut you guys off for a little while here while I make these threads, as you can tell, and then I'll show you when the job is done what it looks like, and hopefully this nut will thread on nice and easy, which is definitely not doing right now. Okay. Well, guys, I'm not gonna lie. Circumstances oftentimes lead to drastic measures. This has got to be the most savage repair I'm about to execute here. This was the axle. I passed it for as much as I can, for hours, mind you, hours and hours, a thread the repair file, because I could not get a tap and die set. OEM makes one for a very large diameters and pitch. This is a 22mm shank by 1.5mm pitch. Cannot get a tap and die anywhere near here. I didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars on an axle and the seal. This was the nut. I don't know if you can see it. There is no thread left. So this is what I did. I literally World War I amputation style. Okay, I can't save all of you, but I could save some of you. So I cut the axle off. Hopefully I still have enough thread and means to save, I mean, not save, but lock the, where's the paper towel? Sorry. Lock the axle with the, because I'm going to have to hammer this to safety it, so make sure it doesn't thread off. So let's see how that works out. We're going to put the knuckle on, we're going to assemble everything, and then we're going to torque it down, and we'll see how that goes. All right, let's put this thing back together, see how it goes. Ouch! Don't do that. I just crushed my finger with the new ball joint. That really, really hurt. That was painful. That was painful. Ah, that crushed my fingers. Damn it. Oh, that hurt. Ah. Don't do that, guys. Don't do what I just did. Got all new parts here, and this thing just hurt like hell. All right, so that's in. Let's get the new hardware for the bolt joint. Ouch. Now, as far as these nuts and bolt goes, when you torque them down, torque them repeatedly because they seem to settle, and then they'll take some more torque, so just keep that in mind. We'll torque that later. Now this is the moment of truth right here. This is the one I'm waiting for to see how this goes. All right, we'll put this baby all the way down. See if we can make this happen. Ooh, that's falling short, no doubt. We're gonna have to safety this. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna safety this. It's gonna be an interesting safety though. All right, is it all the way in? Yeah, it looks like it's all the way in. Okay, lower ball joint bolts to knuckle. Torque is 55 foot-pounds. Again, just keep torquing them until they stop moving. All right, here's another one. There's another one. 55. All right, guys, we are there. All right, next is the strut to knuckle. Okay, strut to knuckle. These are 22 millimeter bolts. The torque on this is 155 foot-pounds. Here's one. There you go, almost. There you go. All right, that's done. So this is torqued. The ball joint is torqued. Let's torque the tie rod. Okay, 36 foot-pounds. And looks like cotter pin holes are aligning. Okay, this will do. Make sure you don't have anything too. Be mindful for others. They'll be working on this as well. There you go. Make it safe, you know, so anybody doesn't get their hand gouged by one of these cotter pins. Make it nice and flush. All right, so this is done. This is done. We cannot torque. We'll have to put the rotor and the caliper torque plate. We'll torque that, and then we can torque the axle nut. There we go. Okay. Get this caliper back on it. Then we could stick a screwdriver in between the rotor and the caliper. That'll be our safety for torquing this nut. And then we got to safety this nut. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that because it's a little short, but it's still possible, and I'm going to show you guys. Okay, this is a caliper and caliper torque plate assembly. And there's two bolts here. They go here. This is known as a caliper torque plate. The torque on this is 79 foot-pounds. These are the bolts for the caliper, whereas this one is a torque plate. Let's be careful. This thing doesn't smack you. Where's the other one? Okay, it's in. Let's rotate this. There's one. Also, guys, make sure that this, when you're done with this particular step, go ahead and rotate the rotor. Make sure it doesn't touch the shroud here, because last time I did this job, this was touching. So make sure it's clear of it. Okay, now it's time for the axle nut. Let's do it. Okay, next is drive axle hub nut. This one right here. It's a 30 millimeter, 12-point. Torque on is 217 foot-pounds. So you can see I put a screwdriver there. All right, let's do this. Ready? All right, it is torqued. Now we can safety it. This kind of repair with the axle being inside of the nut after a torque, I'm gonna have to do a serious safety. So we're gonna go. You gotta make sure this thing does not rotate. Chances are next time this axle nut comes off, I'm gonna have to replace the axle. This is, but I do want to make sure it does not rotate. And as you can see, I'm about to show you here, this thing will not rotate. Oh, sorry. All right, let me show you. Here it is, guys. You see what I did? I divot the nut so much that it flattened right inside there. This thing is not going to rotate. I'm pretty confident. I'll drive 100,000 miles. This thing is not coming loose. But I will have to replace this in due time. All right, so what we have left is put the harness back on. And what else that's critical in terms of safety? Oh yeah, we still have to do the, I don't know if you can see it. See that mount right there? We're gonna have to put it back, and I'll show you what the torque spec of all that is. But before we do that, let's go ahead and put all this harness back on. Now, these two right here, these are two 10 millimeter bolts. One of them has a single washer, and the other one is a double washer. And what I mean by it, one is for here, and the other one is for the wheel speed sensor. The wheel speed sensor takes a double washer, in case you get confused, and the one up here takes the single washer. They're both 10 millimeters, so just be careful about that, so you don't confuse the two. And this goes around here. You mount the bracket. There's these recessed areas. Okay. Turn this a little bit. What a job this has been, I'll tell you guys. I was not anticipating this kind of a... I mean, the job in itself, even though I said it's difficult, it's really not. You have the procedures. You have some wits about you. You're an intelligent person. Just make sure you got plenty of patience. Don't get discouraged. Be resourceful. You know, try to mitigate any possible problems that may happen. Have some friends at hand that are mechanically inclined, that may have tools and equipment that could help you. All right, so this is in. This is in. The wheel speed sensor is in. And as far as down here goes, before we move on top to put that engine mount, like I always do, I touch with my hands because it gives me, it's kind of like a memory thing that tells me that everything got torqued. This is torqued. This is torqued. The three bolts under here, these got torqued already for the engine mount. this on top. And then as far, this is all done right here. This is done. These are the strut knuckle is done. Ball joint down here. See, these are also done. The torque plate, these are done right here. I know I did them. And the axle nut, this is also torqued. Now, one last thing we need to torque down here is actually the mid engine mount. But so let's not forget about that. You snug these by hand first. And torque on this front engine mount is 38 foot-pounds. As always, guys, if at all possible, make sure your stuff is calibrated. Okay, torque. And the reason why, obviously, we loosened this was so that we could lift the engine to remove the motor mounts, so that we could remove the control arms. I gotta tell you, what a job. All right, this is torqued. Let's move on to the top engine mount. This right here is the engine movement control rod, and the torque on this is 47 foot-pounds. There's the reason why it's shaking, because you're shaking also. There's 14mm bolts on it. Said 47 foot-pounds. There we go, one. And two, this is done. All right, so the vast majority of the job, guys, the vast majority of the job is done. All we have left to do is, I'll show you. All we have left to do, guys, is to put this shroud back on. Right now they're sitting in the back of the car on the ground. 10mm bolts and some plastic inserts to keep this thing, it's more of a shield, you know, for airflow and so you don't get dirt and debris and whatnot into the engine bay. So there's left to do is put this back on, put the wheels back on. These are 10mm bolts, just snug them by hand. The wheels go back on. It's 22mm bolts. It's 76 foot-pounds to get this thing off the jacks. Guys, you're going to have to get a wheel alignment. Every time you mess with suspension, struts, control arms, tie rods, all that, you're going to have to get a wheel alignment. So get a wheel alignment when you're done. And that's it, guys. The job is done. As always, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content like this. It would really help me. And thank you for being with me on this journey, on this job. I had to tell you, it was something else. I was not expecting it. It'll be a few unforeseen things that I was not expecting. The left side will definitely be easier than the right side. The right side you have to contend with that hydraulic line, the power steering line, and make sure that when you lift up the side, the engine mount and the transmission one, which are the left one and the right one, you also have to disconnect the front, the middle one. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to lift the engine. On the left side, try to be as close as possible for lifting up the engine. Maybe put it under the transmission. On the right side, though, I put it under the control bearing for the drive shaft, and that seemed to work out good. And make sure that when you do the right side, you got to disconnect this also. Otherwise, you see right here, this is what I'm talking about. Because of this right here, this thing will not go up vertically, and you're not going to be able to lift the engine. You might end up breaking something, so be careful. Make sure you disconnect this as well. As always, guys, give it a thumbs up if this video was of help to you. Like and subscribe, and we will see you at the next one. Take care. Happy Father's Day.